Welcome everyone to our series of common hitting flaws among amateur hitters. We break this out into about six different categories. Today we're going to begin talking about what we call the first move or the gather, as we like to refer to it. I'm sure a lot of players and parents have heard the term load before. So the first thing we're going to take a look at is players who have what we call excessive sway in their first move. Excessive sway is basically any excessive lower body movement away from the pitcher during the gather that forces weight to the outside of the back foot. Players who have an aggressive move in their back leg will feel weight loaded into their quad and knee as opposed to their hamstrings and glutes. Players with this swing fault will tend to get stuck on their backside, losing the ability to transfer into the front leg while also losing adjustability in the process. And if you take a look at the hitter on the right here, we draw a line in the middle of his foot. And when that back knee is tracking outside of that line, we know we are getting into our quads and our knee, as opposed to our hamstrings and glutes, which are the stronger muscles of our legs. A lot of amateur hitters, you can actually see that quad really flexed as they begin to shift their weight back. Again, this is something that was very commonly taught 20 years ago, is to shift the weight back to 60-40, when really we want to coil around that back hip and that back hamstring instead of actually shifting our weight backwards. Some characteristics of sway here. Okay, you're going to see the weight shifts to the outside of the back foot. You can see a little example video on the right of what the difference looks like between shifting and hinging. Okay, your weight is going to get loaded into the quads, like we mentioned earlier. That back knee moves beyond the back foot, creating a little bit of instability and imbalance there. Okay, some common results we get with players who have that back shift. They have a hard time hitting balls at the top of the strike zone since their shoulders are tilted slightly backwards. We get a lot of rollovers from those guys. Guys who don't go forward adequately will tend to spin off that back hip, and that's what happens to guys who back shift. An inability to stay through outside pitches. When we back shift, we tend to leak open with our front side. It makes it really difficult to stay behind and through the ball. Some common compensations we see with sway as we work up the kinetic chain here. Guys will either get stuck back on that back leg or jump forward to compensate for being stuck on the back leg. We want to land at about 50-50 with our weight distribution. A lot of guys with excessive sway will either land stuck on their backside or jump forward to 70-30 to compensate. The pelvis gets tilted excessively backwards as we get into our foot strike position, which leaves us swinging slightly uphill. And it does not allow our hitters to transfer energy efficiently up the kinetic chain, where getting into a hinge and coil will allow them to do that. On our video analysis, it's a pretty easy one. We draw a line in the middle of the player's back foot, okay? And when he gets to the top of the leg lift, again, that back knee, if it's tracking outside of that green line, we have a pretty good indication that the player has excessive sway. If at the top of the leg lift, the hitter's back knee remains inside the back foot, he's probably doing a good job of creating coil instead of shifting backwards. Lastly, some of the drills we use to help our hitters with sway. Step backs is our main one. The hitter is going to start in a neutral stance, take a small step backwards. This will allow him to feel that knee stay inside the back foot and to feel a little bit of coil in that back hip and back hamstring area. Knob to knee is another go-to drill for us. When you watch the hitter do this, you're going to watch that because the knob and the knee meet in the middle, it forces some forward posture, which allows that back knee to stay inside the back ankle where it belongs. This is a good drill for players to feel some stability in that back foot as they get into their gather. And then lastly, we have hook'ems here for a lot of our drills where we want our back foot to stay on the ground. The hitter starts with his back foot flat on the ground, and as he begins to move forward, he's going to feel his weight shift forward, generating some forward momentum. And the reason we do hook'ems is that there is no negative move involved in this drill. The hitter simply goes forward, so it won't allow our hitters time to get into that back shift. That covers excessive sway for today. Next, we are moving on, staying with the lower half for a few more here. Thanks, everyone.